All right, welcome everybody to what we are calling episode 1 of Plainview. So we have the normal cast of myself, Grayson Applin, and Nick Noah, and along with us this week is Garrett Davenport. And the reason for the name is that we are going to be focusing pretty heavy on Auburn football for this week. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through, a lot of the preseason stuff that Auburn's done this year, in terms of recruiting and transfers, the whole 9 yards, maybe some outlook for the season, and all of that. So, um, Garrett, would you like to say anything? Since this is your first time on the podcast,
Thank you guys for having me. I look forward to talking ball.
and we look forward to meeting Jerome Joe Jones Davenport. Um, Nick, can we take like a second and talk about that disgusting parlay we put together before we get into the
Yeah,
minutia?
I have it in my pocket.
I kept it.
I did.
Oh my god, it's disgusting. I don't know what our thoughts were. It may have been the two
Like man, we
Michelobs
had
that I
just
drank.
won we both like won a couple like $100 between us, and we were feeling good. We just kept adding on. All right, so we did take Southern Miss with the spread of 11, and we did say it's going to be under 60 and a half.
Okay.
Not horrible. Auburn Baylor, we did take the over of 56 and a half.
Okay.
Um, Georgia Tech, Colorado. Graison did the point spread of 4 for Colorado.
Why did you have the name?
Because I did.
Everything else was we until we got to that one.
And then Grayson also did the over of 55 for that game. So that is what we drew up. Um, and
You love Big
donated
12
to
defense.
donated to the Hard Rock Casino in Biloxi. So I'm glad they took the $20 and smacked us on
As
the
a
ass as we
donation.
walked out. Yep. So I guess.
Yeah. Well, I'm just banking on Colorado shocking the nation and then going 1-11. So, well, I guess getting into it, talking real quick about Auburn's current recruiting situation in terms of recruiting for 2026. Um, the big thing, obviously, is like they just got Chase Matthews, right? The kid out of Mississippi that was a 4-star, number 2 receiver in the class. That was huge. But I don't know if any of y'all want to talk about it, like just the recruiting class in general. Just in some of the, I mean, I see a couple 4-stars here, and honestly, I see a lot of different positions as well.
I think in general, um, everybody was making fun of Auburn. They were 77th in the country. They were behind our alma mater, um, which should never happen, especially with the coach of Hugh Freeze and going back to back top 10 classes. However, within 2 weeks, they get the number one inside linebacker, and they get the number two with Jace Matthews, and jump all the way up to the mid 30s, low 40s, depending on what site you're on. So I think it's just I think a lot of people were pulling the panic button, or pushing the panic button prematurely. Um, I mean, if you obviously have to get results this year, but as soon as if Auburn goes on and goes 5-0 to start, you're seeing Flip City, and that mid 30s, low 40s turns into all of a sudden Auburn has a top 15 class again.
Well, it's also, I mean, it's good stuff to build off of. Number one, I mean, you've already brought in good talent already at receiver, and you're backing it up with one more pick, kind of local, kind of on the fringe just a little bit, but you essentially went into not one but two SEC schools' backyard and picked a kid out and said, "Hey, come play for us over here." Now, I mean, and you've also got two homegrown kids out of Alabama too. You've got a 4-star linebacker and a 4-star edge, uh, and most of the defense already. You've got some guys that are kind of old, but you still got a 6'4" guy and a 6'5" guy, both at 220. I mean, coming out of high school, that's good size.
Yeah, and that's I was going to bring them up too. Jaquez Wilkes and Hezekiah Harris out of Wadley and Jimson, respectively. I mean, they're both, according to On Three, top 100 players. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
they're both. I mean, they're both listed as edge on three, but still, I mean, regardless, that's you know that's really big to replace, like you said, some of the older guys and some of the seniority that we have. And I mean, at the end of the day, it increases depth too. I mean, you can't just go into a game or into a season and only have your front defensive front seven only having seven. You have to
Yeah.
have depth,
Yeah.
especially at this day and age.
With
Yeah.
DJ Durkin's defense, you gotta. I mean, you're talking, like, hey, we're sending blitzes, and on that edge, you can't have the same two guys running on edge every single play.
Right.
So like we're Auburn truly, and we'll get into this later about the depth that they already have with the amount of 5 stars at defensive end they already have, like the Jared Smiths, Malik Autry's, Jamonta Waller, like all these guys, like they're truly like rotating in, saying, "All right, like I'm fresh legs, let's go." And I mean, you can never, especially at Auburn, just with the pass that they have with edge, like your Carl Lawsons and people like that, where you have to have that fresh leg and have that depth. So it's just as important. You can never have enough at Auburn, where some guys like Javonte Waller, 5 star number one edge, and come out and it's like, hey, like you're not going to play much your freshman year just because we have so many pieces like a Keldrick Fall, first round projection pick, but you're going to get yours when your time is due, and you see the players that we produced, and so it's a highly attractive school to go to as a in-state edge. So it's super important whether they start out playing early or just a depth piece.
Well, and to your point, I guess that gets us into the next part of just talking about like the current roster and everybody that we've seen. And I know we're going to go into more like detail on certain guys, but I'm looking at the current depth chart according to ourlads.com, and all of the current defensive starters are homegrown. But then you look at the basically like the backups, which at this point stage in the game, again, like you said with DJ Durkin's defense, it's not really a knock to be called a backup because you're going to get a lot of playing time. All but two of the number two players are either transfers or freshmen, and all of those transfers are obviously juniors or seniors. So, and then even when you look at the number three player, like I know you mentioned specifically Malik Autry. I mean, he's technically listed number three as a freshman, but those guys are, all of these red shirt senior transfers are going to be leaving, so there's going to have to be depth.
Yeah.
So it's a big thing that they're able to get two edge guys to come in to, you know, wreak havoc on an offensive line. But I guess so going into it, I don't know what we want to talk about first. I'll just kind of like Garrett, I guess you can start off out of the players on the team. We talked about earlier, big transfers we had come in. We talked about some of the returning stars that Auburn has. Keldrick Fault was mentioned earlier. And then any kind of freshman that's going to have some impact. Like, who are some of the players that you think like are the biggest either additions or stays to Auburn over the offseason?
Number one, Kayan Lee.
Mm-hmm.
Golly, dude's a ball hog. He's a dog.
Physical.
He gets after it. And one thing too, I love corners that aren't afraid to hit. You can't have an edge without a corner, and that is one place that I think really kind of can fire some guys up. Yeah, it's one thing to run up the middle and get smacked in the A gap by a linebacker, but you try to cut outside and get chopped down by a corner because he's already 2 yards deep in the backfield after he shed a block. That'll light a defense up. I'm also excited, which he got some playing time and some good playing time last year. But Demarcus Riddick, he plays the weak side or the will linebacker. He's a sophomore. And I believe, I mean, he posted, now this is coming from, again, we're coming from our lads, right? I mean, he posted 27 tackles as a freshman. Um, and that's nothing to scoff at. I mean, you're playing quality D1 football here. Uh, but then even behind him, you have a redshirt freshman transfer in Xavier Atkins. So you've got, and then even going behind Woodyard too, who is the Mike linebacker. He also has a freshman behind him. So you've got two freshmen already at number 2. And talking about that rotation too, talking about Durkin running fresh legs. I mean, running the type of defense they run, having people that you can call upon in certain situations, and having certain yard and down guys, I think is really going to work wonders. But most importantly, I really do think that our secondary is going to be a force this year.
And just to point out something of note too, you mentioned like the 2 freshmen that are backing up Woodyard and Lee. Well, I guess Woodyard. Woodyard and Lee, yeah. Those 2 freshmen that are backing those guys up are the number 2 player on the depth chart in front of a transfer senior and a transfer junior. So they've got to be showing something out there that's like, yeah, these guys are ready to play at the collegiate level. Nick, I mean, I know you mentioned Keldrick Falk earlier, but who are some other guys that you're like, yeah, these guys are going to be household names at Auburn?
I think this is poised to be one of Auburn's best secondary units. I think I mean, we can sit there, we can have a whole podcast on the edges that are currently at Auburn, like flooded with 5 stars. It is crazy. But because of that, I think it's going to promote a lot more ball hawking because the 3 safeties Auburn is returning, with 2 of them being true freshmen. One of them was a sophomore last year. Caleb Harris, Sylvester Smith, and Champ Pirate Anthony. Champ broke his leg in the Arkansas game, but he's back and he's full rotation. So those guys, but on the other side of Kalen Lee's more of that ball hawk physical guy, you have your lockdown specialist in Jalen Crawford, listed as the best freshman corner in the nation last year, besides Ellis Robinson at Georgia. So I think that entire group there, the returning guys, that's where a lot of this impact's going to go. I think Auburn is poised to have a great defense. On the opposite side, I think that obviously I'm sure we'll talk about Jackson Arnold together, just because it's so critical of a position in the season for Auburn. But two guys I want to really point out is Xavier Chaplin from Virginia Tech. He's a left tackle, has allowed one sack in over 300 different snaps. So great guy, but he's also 6'7", 340, massive.
Yeah.
So again,
he's a really big, great guy.
Yeah, glue guy. But he was all ACC, preseason All American now, and then on top of that is this guy that nobody had heard of out of Auburn High School. His name is Omar Mabson II. He's a running back at 5'9", 220. Who has over Damari Alston, over Jeremiah Cobb, over Alvin Henderson. All these guys is getting split touches at first team reps, just because of how great of a spring ball and fall camp that he's having. Now, I'm not saying he's going to come out and be the starter, because you've also got Darrell Robinson from Connecticut. But I think Omar is a guy to watch that kind of becomes that swing back all of a sudden where he's only getting about 10 rushes a game, hits 50 yards. It's great, but he also has two catches, and all of a sudden he takes one to the house. But again, being 5'9", 220, you gotta have a good center balance.
Yeah, I'm
He's
bowling ball again.
yeah, literally. So I think all those guys. I think the offense is the biggest thing, and they definitely revamped the offensive line. And returning Connor Liu and Dylan Wade was huge because they were the only two bright pieces. But
Hmm.
having a center and Connor Liu, who's also a first round projected, I
Hmm.
mean that's huge. So I think those pieces will be some of the most key to the season.
Yeah. Well, and to kind of expound upon that too, you talked about Xavier Chaplin coming in at left tackle. They also got Mason Murphy that transferred that is
USC.
going to start, yeah, US from USC that's going to start at right tackle. So it seems like any of the whole because you look behind Mason Murphy and the next player up would be a redshirt sophomore in Tyler Johnson. So I think one of Freeze's big things was, hey, we've got we got a little bit of holes to fill. So I think he went out there and did that on the offensive line. Um, for me, I mean, I'm going to keep it pretty high level in terms of you know the big offseason moves or people that didn't move is obviously Eric Singleton Jr. coming from Georgia Tech, massive, um, big receiver. I mean, he's going to be a top target for, like we mentioned earlier, Jackson Arnold. Um, with that, him having Eric Singleton on one side and Cam Coleman on the other, like Cam Coleman showed bright spots last year with a somewhat inept Peyton Thorne. So I would I would
Allegedly.
allegedly, yeah. I mean, again, like he is going to tear the Cincinnati Bengals practice squad up. Like he is going to be practice squad MVP for sure. Just don't show any points on the board. But that being said, like having those guys on both sides,
I
and
mean, you also got another transfer from Horatio Fields coming from Wake Forest, and
Shout out
then
Jeb.
yeah, shout out Jeb, and then you've got Perry Thompson. I mean,
enter Perry Thompson.
yeah, you have Perry Thompson.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not like you're hurting for guys.
yeah. Well, and Horatio Fields was a good call out too, but that was something I was going to bring up. Like I'm excited to see what Perry Thompson does this year. He didn't. I wouldn't say he really had a chance to kind of stand out last year. Just because of number one, him being a freshman, being in that same group as Cam Coleman. Uh, he didn't really. I don't know how he did last year, like in the preseason. But it wasn't really anything worth of note from what I remembered. I remember him making like a couple highlight catches. I think maybe in the spring game, or like when they did that was an open practice, wasn't it? Did they even do a spring game last
I think that
year?
was week one. I think they were just
He
beating.
had he had two receptions for 82 yards in Week 1 against
Yeah,
Alabama A&M. I mean, and he only played in three other games after that. He played New Mexico, Arkansas, and Vandy, and had one reception in each of those games.
yeah,
Peyton
So
Thorne did not allow much of a rotation of
yeah,
receivers last year.
he was five receptions for 126.
Yeah,
so even then, 5 for 126. I mean, that's a hellacious stat line for a game. Maybe not for a season, but for a game. Um, so yeah, I'm excited to see if he's able to break out of that shell and kind of put himself up there with Cam Coleman because again, like I said, we saw bright spots with Cam Coleman a couple times throughout the year. It was the back half of the year, and I think he was able to start gaining some trust. And they were like, Cam's down there somewhere.
Yeah. Well, and coming off of that, um, like you've got a better frame throwing. I mean, you've
Mm.
got you've got a guy like I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I mean, Jackson Arnold was a 5-star recruit, right, to
he was the
Oklahoma.
number one
Yeah, yeah,
overall recruit for
yeah.
quarterback.
I mean, you're coming out of I mean, you're coming out of Texas. I mean, football mecca, right? And you go to Oklahoma for a high-powered offense, and just due to some locker room navigation there, you get usurped by a freshman. Um, but the fact remains that you're still he's 6'1", 220. I mean, that's some force throwing football. And I mean, you've seen the videos, the red zone videos. I mean, he was throwing balls where they needed to be. There was no, oh, this is on air. And I'm sure you might have seen the video of Ty Simpson throwing a ball to nobody and threw it, 2 yards behind the guy. The receiver had to stop.
But it was a screen. It was a screen.
It's a back shoulder throw. But and I wanted to say this earlier, talking about Perry Thompson. But I think there was simply too many mouths to feed. And number one, the guy that wanted to be fed was the one that controlled everybody else. And when you've got a guy that's pulling a ball on 4th and 1, when the read was clearly a give, I mean, it's hard to work with. It's hard to work with that.
You joke, but that guy's with the Bengals now.
Now, again, I'm sitting in a room doing a podcast, and he's making money playing football. So I mean, he's really joking here, but I mean,
it's me. I am.
I think of the two, getting a guy from, a Michigan State, versus getting a guy from Oklahoma. I mean,
well, Peyton Thorne was throwing to Keon Coleman, and Jackson Arnold was throwing to me. So the plumbers at Oklahoma that were their receivers.
Well, the thing, even then, Keon Coleman wasn't even. I think he had like the 6th most receptions on the team that year. Peyton Thorne's best year, Coleman was like the 6th best receiver. I think the number 1 receiver was a senior that's probably at a litigation law firm right now. I mean, I mean, but to be a highly touted recruit is what I'm saying. Highly touted recruit, transferring, coming to another high-powered offense with supposedly Hugh Freeze, the quarterback whisperer. I mean,
let's see. So he was there in what, 2021?
Yeah, I think so.
Peyton Thorne was?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So he played 10 games. So in 10 games in his freshman year, he had 7 receptions for 50. He had 58 receptions for 798 yards. That was the year Peyton Thorne left. So, just saying. Ass.
Smash.
But regardless, though, like, getting back to it, and we talked about Jackson Arnold too, and made some comparison and contrast with him and Peyton Thorne, just transfers, coming in from different schools, trying to fit into the Hugh Freeze scheme. I think one thing that is a difference maker this year, and kind of honestly puts the starter Jackson Arnold in the hot seat, is that Auburn has a extremely highly touted prospect, Deuce Knight, coming in as a freshman. So, as I previously stated, we've made a lot of comparisons and contrasts to Jackson Arnold and Peyton Thorne, but I think the one thing that Peyton Thorne didn't have that Jackson Arnold does have is a freshman waiting in the wings in Deuce Knight, a highly touted recruit. Because last year, it was less of, hey, we want to see Hank Brown. It was more of, we can't stand to see Peyton Thorne anymore. This year,
right,
having and Walker White, for whatever it was, just wasn't there. I know me and Nick talked about it, and he was supposed to be like the second coming of Tim Tebow. Well, I feel like if he was, and me and my dad talked about this, I feel like if he was, he would have at least got to see the field once
played.
or twice.
Yeah.
He would have played. So, and there he goes. He's at Baylor now. and I think he's either second or third on the depth chart.
His
He's
second.
he's not
Yeah, he's
yeah
second.
he's not the starting quarterback. So, but again, what Auburn does have this year is a freshman quarterback that's highly recruited. That's people I think are excited to see. And so like basically to sum it up, Jackson Arnold doesn't have the leash that Peyton Thorne's going to have. Also, I don't think Jackson Arnold has somebody at Hugh Freeze's house with his family like Peyton Thorne did. I think that Peyton Thorne hired somebody to be at Hugh Freeze's house 24/7 to if he
Well,
got pulled. Um,
also to note on that, I mean, you're a highly touted quarterback recruit who you are now going to commit to a school who also just got a highly touted junior transfer. So, let's just say everything goes well at Auburn and they're like, hey, Jackson, you know, it'd probably be in your best interest to get another year. You had kind of 1 year that you struggled, and here, we'll get you another year in here at Auburn, and you did really, really well. Let's get you another year so like we can really give the scouts what they want to see. But like on top of that, like again, you're you're bringing in very highly touted recruit under the assumption that he's going to play. I mean, if I'm a 5-star recruit and I could go anywhere in the country, I'm going to play. I'm not going to sit behind 2 years of a transfer.
yeah,
I think it helps too that Deuce Deuce is good with a lot of the receivers, like personally. Like Jace Matthews, they're high school rivals. Um, I think it helps that he can see like, okay, there's promise with Auburn, and you see the weapons that you have. And I mean, I don't know what the recruiting pitch was for Hugh, but I guarantee you it was like, hey, like, we have some of the best receivers in the nation. Yeah, we didn't win many games. I'm not going to point any fingers, but, PT over there. It's like, you can throw to these guys.
Well, I can
Just
imagine.
let it,
Yeah,
give it time.
yeah, give it
Which,
time.
I mean, because the weapons are there. I mean, the weapons have never been better. The offensive line, it's far like I don't know their chemistry, of course. We won't know that until the season starts. But uh, you want to talk about going and getting some guys that on other teams have been the bright spot of their team, and then returning the bright spot on your own team. There are times that Peyton Thorne, I mean, he was running for his life.
He
Um,
yeah,
was, yes,
So I
true.
mean, I won't put all of it on him. There were times that he also held onto the ball way too
Way
long.
too long.
But however, it's with Jackson at Oklahoma. Like he faced similar issues. I mean, the O line was horrible. I think it was his under pressure percentage was almost in the 40s.
Yeah, yeah. I think
And
at one point it was number one in
yeah,
the country.
it was.
not great call.
So he's used to it. He has experience in the SEC from it. But now you're going from that at Oklahoma, where you managed to beat an Alabama. You managed to hang in there against an Ole Miss. Like, he showed spurts. He only had 3 interceptions on the year. He didn't even start all the games, but he threw 12 touchdowns. He was formidable. He reminds me of a Baker Mayfield. I mean, same build. And it's like you give him the weapons, give him the offensive line where, okay, like go have fun, sling the ball, uh, and just make the right decision. Because I mean, we've talked about this. Is like Auburn does not need a Cam Newton or a Nick Marshall this year. Let the playmakers do their thing. Let Eric Singleton, the route running maestro, and Cam Coleman, the spectacular, the depth. Let it run out. Just get the ball to where it needs to be. You don't have to be special. Just
No,
take a
no.
dump down.
Yeah,
Do what you got to do.
yes. Let it develop. Don't force a throw. I mean, golly, I know you made the joke earlier, Grayson. Cam Coleman's down there somewhere, but it's like, I mean, that kind of holds true on some plays. Like,
I like
okay,
that 50-50 ball, you know?
yeah, I do. Oh, okay, he gets doubled up. Are you going to double up Singleton? Or
Yeah.
you going to commit four players for two people?
Mhm.
All right, we go cover zero, right? Or double cover, one receiver. Uh, I'll take a power. I'll take a zone read up the middle with
Lamar
Austin,
Madison,
with Austin
five
or
nine, 220.
Jeremiah Cobb. Like, I'll take one.
Well,
You know,
again, again, we're talking, talking about running to a power, but or running a power in that situation. But again, like, so our best matchup is what, Perry Thompson against a slot cornerback,
slot corner.
Horatio
Yeah,
Horatio Fields against a slot corner.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, they
Bryce
also run
Kane
tight end
too.
sets
I was
too.
about to say Bryce Kane too.
He added on
Yeah,
10 pounds this offseason, and he did redshirt. So I think he's poised to. I mean, again, I don't know what will happen with Malcolm, but if Malcolm's gone, I know Perry's been running with the ones, but Bryce Kane should fill that role, that slot role.
yeah.
Also, homegrown guy.
Currently, as it stands, that's where they have Bryce Kane as the number two behind Simmons currently. So, but to be fair, they also have Horatio Fields behind Cam Coleman and Perry Thompson behind Eric Singleton Jr. So, however that you know matches up, and again, we're only talking about a three wide receiver set right here,
Yeah.
with a tight end potentially. So that those looks are just, I mean, they're going to change. I mean, they're going to go into like a four receiver set, potentially like an empty set. Hugh Freeze's. I mean, Nick, you said it best last week, a couple weeks ago. I mean, they're going to be throwing the ball 65% of the time, so you're going to see a lot of different looks just in terms of different formations, amount of receivers, the whole 9 yards.
Well, talking about three receiver tight end set, right? I mean, also that's another transfer too. We pulled the tight end out of Maryland,
Mm-hmm.
Preston Howard, with hold on.
Ninth year Brendan Fraser.
But 2024, we're talking 24 receptions for 189 yards. That's an 8 yard average, just over 8 yard average. Uh, I mean, uh, 1, 2 catches a game, you know, never mind the other, upper level 5, 6, 7 catches at 8 yards a catch.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I so all you really need, out of an offense like that. I mean,
Yeah.
oh, everybody's covered. Let's throw it to Howard or Frazier, who are both 6'5". I believe Brandon Frazier's 6'7". Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
goodness
Well,
gracious.
and we're also not talking about Damari Alston, Jeremiah Cobb, uh, Omar Madsen. We're not talking about those guys coming out of pass pro
Yeah,
and just
yeah, as a
and
backfield threat.
yeah, and getting a 4 to 5 yard gain if they don't have the flats covered, or the middle linebacker's gone. So yeah, I mean, they absolutely have the weapons um to make something work. I think, and I guess to sum this up of kind of what we're talking about is like, I think if changes were to happen in terms of the quarterback situation, um, I mean, really anywhere on the offensive side, I think you see changes come early. I don't think you're seeing it week 6, week 5.
Yeah.
I think you're gonna, if something doesn't go right against Baylor, and there's something like pretty off, I think you'll see some changes at or against Ball State and against the University of South Alabama, then going into SEC play.
Which, I mean, Hugh knows. Hugh's not stupid. If they lose to Baylor and they're 2-1, and then all of a sudden they're 2-2, 2-3, and then if they're 2-3, 2-4, they're probably calling the plug mid-season. It's not going to be a hey, we're going to fire you at the end of the season, and I think Hugh knows this. So he understands, like you were talking about, that leash is not very long, just
Mhm.
because his job is also riding on it.
Right.
I I would not totally disagree with you, but I would like to play the other side of that because again, one thing about being upset with a coach is also he's going to be on the market. And I think the greatest example of this is going to be um, Texas A&M. Uh, I mean, you got rid of your guy essentially, and what was his name? I can't remember it now. And I
Someone?
was thank you, Kevin Sumlin. You got rid
Yeah.
of Kevin Sumlin, and then you turned around and got Jimbo Fisher for him to pay more and do worse.
By the way, I
Sure.
mean, if anybody celebrates Texas A&M Day, 8-4 was last week. Happy 8-4 day, yeah, Texas A&M Day to all who
Yeah.
celebrate.
So while I don't disagree with you that absolutely 2-2, 2-3, hey, water's starting to boil. Like you're gonna have to do some major adjustments. I wouldn't necessarily say that he's gonna get chopped mid-season. Um, Number one, Auburn is probably paying some coach somewhere his back half of his salary. Uh, but I don't think there's anybody available. I mean, Cadillac's not there any.
Jimbo Fisher.
I mean, unless we
I would
go
not put it past
unless
Auburn getting
we
there.
go dig Les Miles up out of a grave somewhere. I mean,
I heard Florida State's offensive coordinator is available.
yeah, but I
Return
just
of the king.
Bring the bus back.
yeah,
But
like we talked about earlier that one day. I think you got to have a guy like Brian Harson to show you that you know there is worse. There are rash
I'm gonna
decisions.
have to bleep that word out for this
mhm.
podcast.
Yeah,
That is a sinful word.
yeah, there are worse decisions that can be made, and we got 2-3 years of it. So I just think it would further undermine confidence in your athletic department if now 3 years later after the Harson incident, you're firing another coach.
Well, you're probably talking about a clean house, like John Cohen goes
Yeah.
first at AD.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it's at that point just make Bruce Pearl the AD and let him
Yeah.
coach what he needs to coach.
Yeah.
Dissolve the football program so we don't. Speaking of that, I think it's good that Auburn plays Baylor week 1 because there is no softball Alabama A&M where it's like, oh, I've got a little hope. We just scored 70 points on a team. Like, I don't care who it is. That's promise.
Yeah.
Um, and then it gets dogged by California, at least defensively. Um, so I think it's good that it's like, okay, like Baylor is projected to be one of the title runners for the Big 12, where if Auburn can go into their house and win, confidence is through the roof. Okay, let's stay healthy against Baylor and South or Ball State and South Alabama, and go into SEC play with confidence.
Yeah. Absolutely. And not to get too far ahead, but you've got Baylor. So it's like, okay, let's get a gut check. Let's get a current state. Let's get a good where are we at as a program?
State of the Union.
State of the Union address, essentially. All right. And you turn around and have Ball State. All right. So let's take what we learned from week 1 and implement. We get some live action, someone that's not in a same color jersey as we are. And then week 3, I mean,
A
A
potential
true
loss.
test.
you get a scheme test. Okay. I
Mhm.
mean, South Alabama is going to have good offense. All right. Not that the defense has anything to worry about, but you're gonna have to follow your reads. You're gonna have to go where your reads tell you to go. Um, Offense, again, it's kind of more of hey, let's just make sure that receivers know calls. Quarterback knows, what blocking scheme that he wants up front. I mean, and then week 4, like SEC gauntlet, here we go. Gloves are on.
Yeah.
I mean, Oklahoma, Jackson Arnold, hope you are ready because you are going back.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is too is like, I mean, with South, like South is gonna kind of gimmick them to death. Like
Oh,
that's
yeah.
what's gonna happen. I mean, because like as we are all alumni from South Alabama, um, you know that this is the programs. This is essentially their Super Bowl. They're able to play an in-state rival like in Auburn. The
Mhm.
only thing better would be able to play them at Hancock Whitney.
The 4th best stadium in the country.
According to whatever the things were. Yeah, I saw that. I saw
USA
that.
Today.
Somebody had to dig for that. But yeah, so I mean, South is going to pull all the stuff. The only other important game for or I won't say the other important game, but the game that's more important than that is the Troy game.
The Troy game,
So
yeah.
I mean, South's going to pull out the stops.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would hope that Auburn is able to, or I mean, South is able to be competitive as an alumni.
Mhm.
But if Auburn has everything clicking, I mean, again, like make adjustments for Baylor, test it against Ball State. South's in a bad spot.
I mean, at the end of the day, any quarterback with the last name Davenport is not going to cut it.
He'll
as seen before.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work.
So, well, to move on real quick to our last topic, instead of talking about Auburn, we're just going to talk about what we are going to call Week 0 because apparently ESPN is combining everything now. This coming up Saturday is the start of college football, and Saturday, not really. I mean, there's like 5 games. Sam Houston's playing Western Kentucky. Idaho State and UNLV, a barn burner there. But the one game that I wanted to ask you guys about and maybe get a prediction on, Iowa State and Kansas State. Feel like that is. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Was that not the Big 12 championship game last year, or who it came down to for Big 12 champions? Am I wrong?
No, I think you're
It
correct.
was Arizona State.
You're right.
State won it.
You're right.
They made
My
the
bad.
playoffs.
Iowa
They
State.
beat Iowa State.
Yes. Iowa State and Arizona State have the same colors, and I always get confused about them. I think it's a form of dyslexia. So that being said, Iowa State, Kansas State. I mean, we're looking at 2 Big 12 teams in the Aer Lingus. Oh, this is the game in Dublin. So they're going to be jet lagged. So this game's going to be fun to watch because there's going to be a lot of turnovers. The spread currently is Kansas State at 3.5. What do you guys think?
Well, I mean, that was Kansas State's, both of their last games last year was each other. All right. And 29-21. And then, Kansas State went on to play Rutgers in the Rate Bowl. But I think Iowa State is just one of those teams that has been looking for a breakout and unfortunately has just never been able to find it in the conference. They've been close. And they have put together some good seasons and, some, good 8-4, 9-3, kind of bumped up some of their offensive production a little bit. But they're a very up and down team. Kansas State, physical. They play physical football. I know they've kind of had some life breathed into them via some quarterback play, but I mean, Kansas State is typically what you would expect from a Midwest team. Staunch defense and some hard-nosed offense. Nothing flashy, nothing too out of the box. You're going to have to go earn it for 4 quarters.
It's like Bill Snyder left and they stayed the exact same.
Yeah.
His spirit stayed.
And
Yeah.
I mean, the stadium, or the field. Uh, I think the biggest, and again, like, I mean, I'm guilty of. I have no clue how. I don't know who Iowa State got at receiver to replace their two Houston Texan receivers now. But Rocco Becht is a solid quarterback. He is good, and he is returning. So I think Iowa State will continue to have. I mean, they went 10-3 last year, and they beat Miami in the bowl game. So I think they'll still remain good, and Avery Johnson will get better for Kansas State. I think personally Iowa State squeaks it out. I think they found something with their offense. Now again, we'll see because again I don't know who they got at receiver, but I think Iowa State's one of the ones that goes and competes for Big 12 again.
Yeah.
They have um they have two transfers. One from Central Florida,
Okay.
Xavier Townsend, who was 10 for 69 last year. And then they have Chase Sowell from looks like Colorado. What's his last stop? He's a two-time transfer, and he was 34 for 678. And Daniel Jackson stayed. He's a redshirt senior. He was 16 for 260 and 23. But it looks like for the most part, besides
Yeah.
those two that
From
left, I
from
mean,
what
they had their same receiving core, and then just got those two guys in from Central Florida and Colorado,
the two transfers.
two transfers in.
Yeah. I mean, they didn't have a yeah, they got the two transfers in. I mean, they're besides those two guys, their offense is pretty much the exact same. I wouldn't say exact same, but their offense is a bunch of seniors and juniors that have been at Iowa State the entire time. So, and same thing
I
on
just knew
defense.
those two receivers were like 65% of their receiving.
Their offense,
Yeah,
yes.
So I just
Yeah.
know that there was two huge hits. But again, I think Rocco
yeah.
Becht is a really good quarterback. So I think, like I said, I think Iowa State will pull it out.
Well, I mean, and to expound on it too, I mean, Kansas State got 4 transfer receivers.
Mm-hmm.
Like their X and their Z, and both of the backups are all transfers in. So their slot guy is Jace Brown, who's there from last year. But yeah, they've replaced all of their receivers, and they had to replace their left tackle as well. Um, yeah, at
Well,
first I was gonna. Well, let's see where these guys. Go ahead, Gary. I'm gonna see where these guys are from.
don't skip over Avery Johnson. I mean, we
Yeah,
want to talk about Beck too, but I mean, Johnson's a guy that he's not afraid to get out of the pocket. And I mean, honestly, he's at his
yeah,
best when he is out of the pocket. Um, I mean, he threw 25 touchdowns and 10 interceptions last year. I mean, nothing to scoff at.
mm-hmm.
And 2,700 yards again out of an offense that is it's not flashy. Uh, it is
A lot of RPOs.
a lot of RPOs, hard nosed football. I mean, but yeah, your four transfer receivers. I'd like to hear more.
Yeah. So just looking up at it right quick. They have their 4 transfers are from respectively Purdue, Texas Tech, Community College, and TCU. The guy from TCU last year was 18 receptions for 336 yards. Then this guy, that was Caleb Medford. Jamiri Davis from the Community College. I mean, no stats logged in NCAA. The guy from Purdue, Jerron Tibbs, 25 receptions for 305 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then Jerran Bradley from Texas Tech, 6 receptions for 94 yards and 2 touchdowns. So it just kind of sounds like they're just guys that won more playing time somewhere, and they couldn't beat out their competition at their respective colleges. I'm probably going to go Iowa State. Just feel like I feel like Kansas State is a little bit more put together, like in terms of, I won't say put together, but it feels like they're trying to just piece things back together from people that have left. And it seems like Iowa State is a little bit more complete. So, well, I think that ends this episode of Plainview. Go follow us on whatever socials that we will have put up. Our social media manager, Nick Noah, is working on that. But yeah, I guess we will see you guys next week.